Now to be a little bit more specific on the role, okay, what is it that is expected from you as the executive producer? First of all, you're going to have, like I said in a previous section, you got to integrate everything and everybody. That means what? That means from a customer perspective, from a lawyer's perspective, all the different functions that will be around, and it could be huge. It could be a lot of people. Well, if you leave some of them outside your site of influence and they're not integrated, well, they might come and bite you down the line. And therefore, to have a full view of all the potential stakeholders, and we will talk about stakeholders in another section because it's a very important piece, it will be your first job. It's going to be to get all these people, make sure you understand how you tie them, make sure how they understand they're part of the process and what their roles are. So second thing they'll be looking at is to be the communication hub. One section will be talking about communication management, right? A creative project is full of change. Contrary to what I call a definite type of content, and we will talk about that in another section, where, for example, you're producing a software which has got limited requirements, and we know pretty much at the beginning what's going to be the results at the end, but you might have some change to manage. In a creative content, change are coming in a fast pace. Why? Because that's creation. And creation means what? As two people got an idea, the third one's got another ideas, and then we're building up on that. And that's what's make it something that is, magical and beautiful, or something that is a little bit boring. So we're going to have to deal with change. Therefore, there's a lot of communication to be done, right? So being the hub of communication is going to be very important pieces. And if this production is going to go to chaos, it's going to go down, it's going to be because of communication. And a lot of the time, the executive producer will be the guilty part. So your job is really to take control of the communication. Third point, I'll say conflict, right? Conflict in a project like this, it's absolutely unavoidable, okay? If you think we're all going to be a happy family and everybody's going to get along, it's not going to be the case, right? So later on in the course, we'll talk about the different environment, and you'll see the environment of creative content is an environment that is there's a lot of different peoples from different environment, from different backgrounds, that comes together. And as you're working on bigger and bigger projects, these people just become expert in their field. They are strongly opinionated about what should be done and what should not be done. And therefore you can expect there'll be a lot of clashes, and there'll be a lot of, commotion and emotion. And that's going to be something you're going to have to deal with, and it is tough to deal with that. You feel like, we're all professional here, but the reality is like there's a lot at stake. In a creative content, the results is seen by a lot of people, your family, your friends, and sometimes a big audience. So people want it to be as good as it gets, and sometimes it's very difficult to get the people to get along. So we're going to need to deal with that, and so we'll talk about different strategy to deal with conflict that we'll have, but we'll have to deal with that. Also, direction at the beginning. It's very important because these projects, a lot of the people don't know exactly how does that work. They don't know the process. They don't know the methodology. They just know what their job is and their functions, and what they know. So they'll be looking at you, okay, sitting there, coming in a meeting, looking, okay, what do we do? Okay, where do we go? What's the next step? Okay, and you're going to hear that quite a bit. What's the next step? And that's going to be one a very important question is for you to establish what is the next step. So in order for you to put yourself into the proper mindset as an executive producer, you always start with the end in mind. What I mean by that, you think about this product as production delivered already. What is it, the production at the end? What is it that people will be feeling? Of course, we might not know the concept yet, but it's a theater show. It's going to be presented starting this kind of time frame, and this is what we're going to be delivering. So you start with that in mind, so you could walk your way back all the times, and so you always know what's going to be the next step to take you closer to the end. Okay, so getting the direction is going to be important as you're going to be moving. Getting out of the contract, getting out of the of the planning and start executing, moving into production, really the production phase where we're actually executing the different area of the project, you will be more moving towards leadership instead of being directing. Why? Because people will have worked the plan. They will understand what they need to do. And therefore, we will be more in a sense of making sure people understand where they are, making sure the communication happen, dealing with the different people, making sure the trade-off happen, dealing with the change. So our style will be changing there. Okay. After that, you're going to see a role that is like sometimes really strange, but I call it the preacher. You have to preach. Not everybody is going to be excited about this project. Some people, they have many projects. It's another one. They're going there. They're not too much excited. So you're going to have to motivate them and stand up in front of them and say, this, guys, this is important. This is what we're going to do this. And be the one that is constantly reminding them how interesting it is and how valuable it is. And therefore, getting them to actually really get excited and committed. You might have the best in the world, but if they're not committed and they're not excited about that, you're not going to get a great result, right? And you're not going to get productivity, and you're not going to get a lot of support too. So your job as a preacher is going to be very key too, and making sure that everybody get there and be able to contribute the way that they so should be. Also, I should say, entrepreneur, right? That's the spirit that you need to have. This is not corporate when you do a movie or a production, right? You have to think like it is your money. It is your investment. It is your production that you're paying for it. And if you think something doesn't make sense, if that was my money, I wouldn't do that, then why are you doing it, right? Don't do it, okay? So if it doesn't make sense from yourself, then you have to back away, and you have to do it in a way that it would make sense for you. When you are an executive producer, people trust you with their money, trust you with their resource, and trust you that you'll make the right call there. And because you could lose a lot of time and money, and you could actually bankrupt people. So you have to think like an entrepreneur, and always think, if that was me, would I do that? And if you think it's yes, then go. If your answer is like, no, I wouldn't do it, then don't go there. And visionary is the last one I would say. You need to have a little bit of vision of what the final product is, right? So when we are discussing and we're talking about a change, try to visualize how does that translate into value for the audience. If it doesn't translate to any value for the audience, why would we want to do this change? You're going to see a lot of people, they improvise themselves, right? Oh, let's do this. Let's bring this new technology. Yeah, but that doesn't change what the people will see. So, and it doesn't improve necessarily cost. Yeah, it may be fun for you, but not necessarily having a value at the end. So the visionary part is important. So in a nutshell, this is your role. It's very large, but that's what you need to do.